excited to see you. I'm sorry.
Hey, I have 6 o'clock, and at this time I'd like to call to order the regular meeting, monthly meeting of the Grayson County Board of Supervisors. I know we do have 2 items that on the agenda for public hearing and also for public comment time. If anybody has not signed up and you come here and intended to speak, please do sign up in the lobby. So we'll get to let you address the board. At this time, I'd like to ask Mr. Smith, who will, after a moment of silence, to lead the invocation, but I intended on doing this last month, but I would like for everyone to observe a moment of silence for former board member Larry Barlett, who passed away this year, August the 10th. And he was Wait, is the green phone? Okay. I need to wait. Okay. Mr. Barlett was a representative, the supervisor for the Old Town District, and served 2 terms. And if you need to. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. At this time, I would ask you to have a moment of silence.
Father, we come to you tonight, thanking you for the day that has been given for all of us to live and enjoy. Thank you for your goodness to us. Thank you for Grayson County. Thank you for the Board of Supervisors and their faithfulness to serve. We pray that you be with them tonight as they conduct the county business. Thank you for the display of signature that has come out. That you be with each one of them. It's in your name we pray.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. May be seated.
Hello, Steve Durkin.
Yes, sir. This is Mike Cash, Grayson County Board of Supervisors.
Chairman. Hope you all are doing well.
We are. We've got you now on the phone, so we're getting ready to start our first public hearing. For you in the audience, join us via phone is Steve Durbin, the county attorney. We're scheduled for our first public hearing to receive public comment pertaining to the adoption of two ordinances waiving the motor vehicle license fee for emergency service, medical service, and fire department volunteers up to 2 vehicles, and waiving the solid waste disposal and collection fee for emergency medical service and fire department volunteers. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. We have all received the agenda ahead of time, and at this time, the chair will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda and consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye. Apologize for getting ahead of myself. Okay, so our first public hearing, does staff have any comment prior to? Okay. At this time, I entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Chair also aye. All right. Would y'all like to go over the ordinance or the? Sure. Okay. I do have one comment that was I guess email. Phone message. Okay. And this comment would be was received by Supervisor Fan from Betty Spencer, who lives in Elk Creek District, calling for herself and her husband, Ricky Spencer, to say they do not agree with the waiving of the motor vehicle license fee for EMS and fire department. EMS volunteers, but they do get paid. Fire department is volunteer, but thinks they have other perks that they get also. Okay.
Mr. Chair, for the record, I received the same phone call and had a conversation with them prior to the meeting. They were really over there.
So that being the only public comment with this,
more information on this, or just go ahead?
I think at this point we could go ahead and go out of public hearing and then have reading of the ordinance and then entertain motions. Okay, at this time, entertain a motion to come out of public hearing. Okay, all in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye. Right.
If I could, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Administration explained kind of what we're doing with the ordinance and prior to reading it, just so that everybody's aware.
Yes, sir. Okay. Let's see. So just a little context. The board is searching for ways to incentivize volunteers. We're in a place where we need volunteers. We don't have enough, particularly in the EMS world, firefighters as well. So they asked for staff to try to look at different avenues to where things that we could propose that would encourage people to volunteer instead of moving on to having paid staff for this. So we have some limits of what we can do. Steve Durbin's on the phone. He can talk about those limits if we need to go on those, but we have limits of what we do. These are two options that we came up with. And the first thing to do was to have a public hearing on this to see what the community thought about this. These are not high dollar incentives, but they are something for volunteers to go, hey, we appreciate you spending your time, energy, money, volunteering for our communities and serving our communities in different ways. So that's what the goal of this was. Catch your thing.
So it's not only to incentivize the folks that's there, but maybe help with some recruitment.
Yes, sir. Okay, so if you want to read it, apologize. We jumped a little bit. This ordinance of the County of Grayson, Virginia, amending the solid waste disposal and collection ordinance of Grayson County. Whereas the Grayson County Board of Supervisors, the board, duly adopted the Grayson County Solid Waste Disposal and Collection Ordinance on June 25th, 2009, and subsequently adopted amendments thereto on June 14th, 2012. Whereas the board recognizes the significant contributions made to the community by volunteer EMS personnel and volunteer firefighters, and wishes to provide a benefit to these volunteers in recognition of their past service, and to incentivize the continued participation by such volunteers in this worthy cause by waiving. Both of them. By waiving the solid waste collection and disposal fee. Now therefore be it ordained by the Grayson County Board of Supervisors and its section of the Grayson County Solid Waste Disposal and County Ordinance is hereby amended to read as follows. I'm sorry, I jumped on the wrong one. I apologize. I got to the solid waste before I got to the vehicle. So there's two. I apologize. I jumped over the order. Whereas pursuant to Code of Virginia, the Grayson County Board of Supervisors established a motor vehicle license fee on March 1st, 1974, which was subsequently amended by the board on April 2017. Whereas the board recognizes the significant contributions made to the community by volunteer EMS personnel and volunteer firefighters, and wishes to provide a benefit to these volunteers in recognition of their past service, and to incentivize the continued participation by such volunteers in this worthy cause by waiving the motor vehicle license fee for such volunteers to the extent permitted by the Virginia Code. Now therefore be ordained by the Board of Supervisors of Grayson County, Virginia, and the Grayson County Motor Vehicle License Fee Ordinance is hereby amended and readopted to read as follows. The ordinance shall be known as the Motor Vehicle License Fee Ordinance of Grayson County. Motor vehicle shall, any motorized vehicle recognized by the Virginia Department of Motor Vehicles is licensed for road use, either private or business use on the first day of January of each calendar year. Each motor vehicle operating on streets, highways, or roads within Grayson County or under the garage jurisdiction of Grayson County shall be subject to a vehicle license fee based on the following fee structure. Car trucks, single axle, RVs, and road tractors shall be imposed a fee of $25 per vehicle per year. Motor vehicles shall be imposed a fee of $15. Motorcycles shall be imposed a fee of $15 per year. There shall be no vehicle fee imposed on any trailer. There shall be no fee imposed on any vehicle employed exclusively in transporting provisions or doing work on farms, even though the vehicle may operate on public roads. There shall be no vehicle fee imposed on any mobile home. Vehicle license fee shall be applied yearly on any in all vehicles recognized by Virginia DMV on January 1st as being under garage jurisdiction of Grayson County and being effective until December 31st of the same county. The vehicle license fee shall be billed with yearly Grayson County personal property tax no later than May 22nd and due on June 5th of the same year. The vehicle license fee is non-proratable and non-refundable. Any exoneration or deletion of the vehicle license fee is under the authority of Grayson County Commissioner of the Revenue. Compliance with the ordinance will be enforced by the authority of the Virginia State Code, the treasurer or director of finance or any county, city or town may enter into an agreement with the commissioner of DMV, whereby the commissioner will refuse to issue or renew any vehicle registration or any applicant therefore who owes to such county, city or town any local vehicle license fees or delinquent tangible personal property tax or parking citations. Before being issued any vehicle registration or renewal of such license or registration by the commissioner, the applicant shall first satisfy all such local vehicle license fees and delinquent taxes or parking citations and present evidence satisfactory to the commissioner that all such local vehicle license fees and limitations of parking citations are paid. Commissioners shall charge a reasonable fee to cover the cost of such enforcement action, and the treasurer or director of finance may add the cost of this fee to the delinquent tax bill or amount of parking citation. The treasurer, the director of finance of any city, county, city, or town seeking to collect delinquent taxes and parking citations, withholding registration, and you will therefore, the commissioner, as provided in the subsection, shall notify the commissioner the manner provided for in his agreement with the commissioner and supply to the commissioner information necessary to identify the debtor, his registration renewals to be made. In the agreement entered into pursuant of provisions of this subsequent shall provide the debtor notice of the intent to deny renewal of registration at least 30 days prior to the expiration date of the vehicle registration. For the purposes of this subsection, notice first-class mail to the registrant's address as maintained in the records of the DMV shall be deemed sufficient. In the case of parking violations, the commissioner shall only refuse to issue or renew the vehicle registration of any applicant, therefore, pursuant to this subsection, for the vehicle that incurred the parking violations. The provisions of this subsection shall not apply to vehicles owned by firms or companies in the business of having motor vehicles. And here's your exemption. No part of this ordinance shall be construed to require a vehicle license fee on a person, firm, or corporation exempt from this ordinance under state of Virginia Code pursuant to subsections 2, 3, 4, 5, 11 of Virginia Code 46.2-752. Licenses shall be issued free of charge for vehicles owned by volunteer EMS agencies and volunteer fire departments organized within the county and serving the county. And licenses shall be issued free of charge for one vehicle personally owned by active auxiliary members of volunteer EMS agencies and volunteer fire departments within the county, serving the county as well as former members thereof, provided such former members have served at least 10 years in such volunteer role. Those claiming exemption hereunder may be required to present satisfactory evidence, therefore demonstrating that individuals qualifying status as a treasurer of Grayson County may reasonably require, effective this day, 12th day of October 2020.
Chair, entertain a motion to adopt the ordinance.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt the ordinance as presented.
Second.
Any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
if I could just clarify that I know some of the citizens might be wondering about that. The advertisement called for a possible exemption of up to 2 vehicles per volunteer. And that was the intention of the county, but when I looked into the state code, there is a hard cap at 1 vehicle per volunteer. So that's the difference between what the ordinance is and what the advertisement was. It's less it's less restrictive or less beneficial. So I see no problem in the board moving forward to adopt it, but wanted to address that there was a difference between what was advertised and what is up for adoption.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, this require a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson?
Aye.
Mr. Fain?
Aye.
Mr. Ivan? Aye. Mr. Belton? Chair also aye. Okay, next on the agenda is a public hearing.
There's another ordinance.
Oh, okay. I thought that was inclusive. Okay.
The sign-in sheet was provided.
Okay, the ordinance for amending the solid waste disposal and collection ordinance of Grayson County. Whereas the Grayson County Board of Supervisors duly adopted the Grayson County Solid Waste Disposal and Collection Ordinance and subsequently adopted amendments on June 14, 2012. The board recognizes the significant contributions made to the community by volunteer EMS personnel and volunteer firefighters, and wishes to provide a benefit to these volunteers in recognition of their past service and incentivize continued participation by such volunteers in this worthy cause by waiving the solid waste collection and disposal fee. Now therefore be ordained by the Grayson County Board of Supervisors that Section 8 of the Grayson County Solid Waste Disposal and Collection Ordinance is hereby amended to read as follows. Payment for services. each owner of a residential unit, multiple residential unit, and the parcel owner in which the recreational vehicle unit rests shall pay based on the collection fee schedule as adopted by the Grayson County Board of Supervisors. Payment shall be made to Grayson County Treasurer's Office. Unit owners qualifying for elderly, disabled, tax relief, and disabled veteran relief as determined by the Commissioner of Revenue will not be subject to payment for services as prescribed in this section. Shall not pay a fee for residential solid waste collection. Active and active auxiliary members of the volunteer EMS, volunteer fire departments organized within and serving Grayson County, former members of such organizations having at least 10 years service shall not be subject to payment for services as prescribed in this section. Shall not pay a fee for residential solid waste collection. One, submitting evidence to the reasonable satisfaction of the county treasurer of such service. All of the provisions of this ordinance shall apply. Participating industry and commercial establishments shall, under contract with Grayson County, pay based on a collection of fees service as adopted by the Grayson County Board of Supervisors. Payment shall be made to Grayson County Treasurer's Office. Grayson County Treasurer shall be responsible for collection of payment for services pursuant to Section 8. Ordinance and may utilize all appropriate collection methods. All the provisions of the solid waste disposal and collection orders for the county of Grayson, not specifically amended hereby, shall remain in full force and effect.
I make a motion.
Second, any discussion? Okay, this require also a roll call vote. Mr. Anderson? Aye. Mr. Payne? Aye. Chair also aye. Okay. Next is a public hearing to receive public comment pertaining to the application of Mount Rogers Volunteer Fire Department and Rescue Squad, the borrower, for a loan to be secured by the borrower in a principal amount of up to $389,990 bonds. The bonds is part of a plan of finance to assist the borrower in financing certain costs of an acquisition of equipment of one new E1 Freightliner 3,000 gallon tanker truck, which will be located at the firehouse of the borrower. Approval by the County of Grayson shall not entail any financial obligation or indebtedness of the county. The property to be acquired will be owned, operated, and principally used by the borrower for the benefit of the residents of Grayson County by proving emergency fire protection and first responder services, and thereby promote the public good and general health, safety, and welfare of the county. All or a portion of the indebtedness is expected to be issued as qualified 501c3 bonds as defined in Section 145 of the Internal Revenue Code of 1986 as amended. The code. The borrower is exempt from the payment of federal income tax under Section 501c3 of the code. Any comment, Mr. Durbin, prior to open up the public hearing?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. There are still some financial documents and I guess there are a number of additional steps that would need to take place prior to consummating the contemplated transaction. However, this is a key step in that process. I discussed with staff briefly this morning. There's some additional steps, but this is a key step that needs to happen. I would only clarify that the squad in question may be a 501c4 as opposed to 501c3. The advertisement and public hearing requirement is the same, however.
Okay. This time, Chair, to entertain a motion to.
So could you explain, I mean, I think why we're doing this ordinance is based on the budget that we did this year. We appropriated and authorized a kind of a block grant to each of the fire departments. And this is addressing that, right?
That's great. It was fine. This is the first volunteer fire department that has moved forward with acquiring a piece of equipment that the board previously allocated funds to. And so each volunteer fire department will now have to present kind of a plan forward to the board, and we'd have to have a public hearing on each one, and then discussion for the community and a decision.
At this time, Chair, I entertain a motion to go into public hearing.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye. We're now in public hearing. Okay. Doesn't appear to be any, okay. So at this time, Chair, entertain a motion to come out of public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair also aye. Okay. So, you entertain a motion to not? That's the gist of it there. Yeah. That was really.
What's correct? Is there any more motion action from the board other than we held a public hearing for the money since we've already appropriated the money?
Steve, that's it.
I would, I'm sorry if I may, I would recommend a motion to approve the plan of financing and empower and direct staff to move forward with any required certifications or other documents that would be necessary for the financing. Again, this is not a debt of Grayson County. It is just, there are certain certifications and approvals that are required in order for the squad to get the tax exempt financing, which is a more beneficial interest rate.
Steve, we will have to have a motion for each volunteer organization then?
You eventually will, yes, once you've had the public hearing for each. Assuming they're pursuing a similar tax beneficial financing strategy.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to move forward with funding, move forward with the financing and the documentation in support of Mount Rogers Firemen.
Second. Any discussion? Hearing none. This would just be a roll call. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye. All right. This now will bring us to the reports, presentations, or requests. Our first presenter is Mr. Chris Dillon with Brightspeed, Government Affairs and Public Policy Director. Good to have you with us.
Hey, good evening, supervisors. Thank you so much for having me this afternoon. Again, my name is Chris Dillon. I've been with Brightspeed for 2 months, but I've jumped in full feet first. And I want to say I'm very impressed by the people who showed up tonight to hear me speak. And just some background. My mom is from Wise County. My daddy's from Henry County. My mom raised, she was the first 12 children and a coal miner's daughter. And daddy spent 34 years in the military. So I'm afraid of my mama, but I respect my daddy. Just to give you that, my lay of the land. I've been in government for 25 years on your side. I was deputy county manager, Wake County, North Carolina, Vance County. I did government affairs for Wildlife Resources. When I started there, they gave me a gun and said, politics is dirty business. You might want this. And I said, oh, I'm good. But I did want to give you an update. I've got Todd Caldwell with me. I think y'all know him. He's our regional supervisor for operations. I think you had a presentation a couple times from my predecessor and others in our organization. But I did want to give you an update. I was asked to come and speak to you about where we are today and where we're going since we took the company over 1 year ago. I do have to remind counties that I've never worked for CenturyLink. I never had any employment there, and we purchased, Brightspeed purchased their assets. So it is not a name change. This is a purchase of assets. So I don't have a clicker, do I?
They're clicking. He's already moved it.
Oh, thank you. So again, August 21st, this transaction was announced. It closed 1 year ago, week before last. That was the acquisition in 20 states of all the CenturyLink Lumen assets. That includes Virginia. Since then, I knew that you wanted to know this. Brightspeed's added 200 additional call center agents. And we are down to, when you call or report a ticket or an outage, we're down to 1 minute. That's down from hours, is what I understand it was before. And specifically for Virginia, we've hired 41 additional techs, including 6 in this area, in Grayson County's area. So these are metrics that we go by. This is where the investors invest the money. Is we have a couple metrics that we have internally set. One is out of service calls repair within 48 hours. You can see in third quarter 2022, we were at an amazing 58.2% that were repaired within 48 hours. We currently, this past quarter, got that up to 94%. So that's the improvement that you've seen in your community, in Grayson County specifically. That's an increase of 36.5% since the transition to Brightspeed. We also have a metric that we have for calls repaired within 96 hours. We want that to be 95%. In third quarter of 2022, we were at 87. We currently, in the last 2 quarters, have 100% repair within the 96 hours. That our target is 95%. So that's an increase of 13% since the transition and the acquisition of the assets by Brightspeed. So this is a kind of it shows that a lot going on in the background, but this is how many tickets we get per 100 customers. So our target rate's 3 per 100. But you'll see, it's 3.9. There were a lot more outages, and last quarter that was 3%. We continue to be around 3, but what we show in the last 2 slides is we're repairing those tickets in a lot more expeditious fashion than what you're used to or what your residents are accustomed to. So with that, on regards to our copper lines, we've had a 36.5% increase in repairs within 48 hours. Since Brightspeed's transition, our 96 hour is 100%. And we continue to make improvements in that system. But I do want to say, I've had other counties and other municipalities in Virginia, which is my state, I also have North Carolina, people stop calling. People are so fed up. People don't want to call anymore. Well, if we don't have that data point to show our investors that these are the trouble areas, they're not going to give us money to invest in those areas. I think Todd can talk about Troutdale, how the investments that we made there was a huge trouble area in this county, and now there's no reports out that far. So I welcome any questions or any accolades on how great we're doing, but I know that there's frustration built up from when we weren't investing in assets, and these companies were not. And I hope you've seen the improvements and your phone calls have died down. Commissioner Fant, thank you for taking my call the other day. We're doing a lot of investment, and I could talk about future investment as well, but I'll stop there if you have any questions specific to this part.
Like I told you yesterday, my sense is that your responses are better. And that's purely anecdotal based on the number of phone calls I'm not getting. Todd has been super in taking direct calls. I think what I still sense is the frustrating part is if we don't have the VFR direct connection with Todd and you have to go to the call center, it's still trouble to make sure that you've got what it is. You communicated with the people that you need to be able to solve the problem. I get your statistics. I'm comfortable with the fix we have with Todd. That's not probably the preferred. But I would tell you, like I told your predecessors, you know, with Ken Belton over here, former APCO guy, you know, if you have a power outage, it's a simple, like 1 or 2 clicks and you report it. You don't have to log in. You don't have to do anything. You just have to give them an address and bam, it's in the system. Simplicity matters in an area that struggles with internet access and other forms of communication. So I would, thanks to Todd, thanks what you seem to be doing and getting the ship right. But I think there's one more work to be done, one more trust to be built. But you seem to be on that work.
I greatly appreciate this.
All right, and I'll speak to that. We are, and I'll go back to our leadership. Being that we're not the company we used to be, you know, I started, like 2 months. I was here with Sprint and Mark, CenturyLink, then Lumen, and I came back here to do Southwest Virginia because that's where my heart's at. But we're small enough that we get to talk to our executive leadership. The feedback you're giving me today, simplicity matters. And when you started talking, you know, I get that. Grayson County is different from the people we're reporting to here. Even when I talk to people, sometimes it's like I speak a different language. You know, you want to be able to call in and say, hey, I don't have Alto. You don't want to be told, go outside and unplug this, push this, reset this, and do that. Oh, and stand on your head and hold your phone above your head. I get it. And I will take that back to senior leadership, and we'll see if we can improve on it.
Thanks, Tom.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, Chair. So as far as the customer service, and you said it sounds like a foreign language, when I've got 2 accounts with Brightspeed, I spent the better part of about 4 days just trying to get customer service to find out where the modem is that they've sent me, which ended up back in Pennsylvania. And I went to Walmart and bought one. And then they finally, some weeks later, I got a modem from you guys. And I still don't have the service working, but that's an internet issue, not, I think the guys came recently. But what I'm getting at here, I try to use your app, which is, it's crap. I'm just going to tell you. If you guys would take the APCO app and try to emulate it, that would probably be help. But the other thing, when I call, you have to go through that app 45 different clicks to even find the phone number to call. Then you call that number and you get an automation. And then you go through that automation for about another half hour to an hour, and you finally get somebody on the other end that you can't understand what they're saying. They can't understand what you're saying. So I don't know where your calls are going, but they're not in the United States, obviously. And that's horrible service. That's horrible. And I'm not talking about the repairing of it. Sounds like you're doing a better job on the repairing. But this is just dealing with customer service, because I've been paying 3 or 4 months now, still don't have the service. And I went back, I finally got somebody, they credited one back. But anyway, that's a separate story. But the customer service thing it's almost like, who in the world is on the other end of this app and this phone line? Because it doesn't work. And like I said, I should have sent you guys a bill, because it was about 4 days total that I spent back and forth trying to get this resolved.
So you're basically saying it's only worth saying. You still haven't got your service. I'm concerned about that because.
Well, they had to get, the guys came out and did something with the cable. I haven't had to go back to that property and double check. So it may be working as of now.
Do you care to tell me the address?
I will privately, yes.
Okay, I'll make sure. Because that's my job, is fixing those problems. And, you know, right back when you were talking about the order side, the repair side, you know, I'll take the phone calls, text messages, you know, I handle a pretty large area, but I'll take text messages, calls and stuff like that. This number here you call, repair, you know, they respond pretty quick. Order side, like you said, we got this last August or last October, we became a company. We're still in the process of setting up those call centers. Right now, just like you said, they're somewhere else. They're going to be moved. Some of those contracts are not going to be there no more. They're going to be moved. We're hiring additional people to put in those things, and we're going to simplify that process.
Well, we would love to have call centers here in Grayson County and employ our people.
That's
Just
you know, and the other thing you mentioned was pushing all these buttons, because CenturyLink
have 1,000 different products, 1,000 different ways to do it. Our company believes in simplification. Our new Brightspeed fiber that we're building in communities, 3 speeds, 200, 500 a gig. That's it. 3 prices. That's it. No more voice with it. Voice over IP, there it is. $20 a month, and the prices are set. So they believe in simplifying things. And like I say, I enjoy this because I'll take this back to leadership. Along with Chris, we'll have those calls with our COOs. In the past, you would not have a call with the COO. Our VP comes, meets with my guys in Marion. That was unheard of at the other companies. Our headquarters is in Charlotte. It would be nothing for those guys to drive through here. So that's what we're.
Thank you for your comments.
Well, thank you guys for coming and hosting.
Now,
Oh, I was just gonna say, I got tired of calling, and when I saw you guys were gonna be here right before the meeting, I was like, okay, absolutely, maybe I can get my coffee.
So now the question is, what are you gonna do for us?
I used to work for a senator who had a county, all these counties that he had 13 rural counties. And he had one county where I would come in and say, this is everything we did today. And the first thing they said was, that's great, what are you gonna do tomorrow? So, I appreciate that. Well, I can tell you right now, there's a $75,000 piece of equipment in Marion Heights to increase DSL speeds. That should be up in 60 days. We're working with the property owner right now to acquire right of way to install that. That should take care of that. We got 20 customers.
we've got 20 working right now, but there's more surrounding it that will be able to get much better
That
speed.
we'll be able to decrease speeds for everybody in that area. So that's going to prove that the investments are there. So that's one, that's not an anecdote. That is a data point that's going in within 60 days. And you'll see that operating.
Todd just mentioned fiber, and you're back to DSL.
Well, that DSL will be run by fiber, but to get to fiber. So there's a couple of grant builds that y'all have going on, from my understanding and watching in your meetings and discussing. We would love to partner with the county and look at areas where we can come in and apply for BEAD, which is universal coverage. Your PRIM is an acronym, but your cost to get to a place in this county is going to be higher. So it's going to be a BEAD grant that a lot of these companies are going to look, especially us. So if that's something that the county would like to partner with Brightspeed, we'll get back to our analysts, look at doing an application. But it is a matter of, what is GigaBeam doing? What areas are they in? And costing out how to get those grant funds in to do those additional services.
Yeah, I think the challenge is that we need multiple players on the field, right? Right now, GigaBeam got hired to do and partner with APCO to do the fiber. They're making progress, but we need multiple players in order to give people the ability to have options, but also to get the speeds and the technology they want in order to achieve the speed that they desire. So yeah, we're open for that conversation, I would say. But what I sense just on our farm, the copper that's in the ground has been there about as long as the farm has been there. And so is there a plan to replace that old copper technology, which has limitations just based on the fact that it's copper? Is there a plan to replace our old phone lines with newer or even fiber so that the county, the whole goal of the county is to get 100% access for the citizens to broadband speed, regardless of the technology? But what's your all's plan looking at the current technology versus what everybody wants to go to? BEAD is mostly federal funding for folks not familiar with that acronym. That funding is supposed to be fiber.
Right.
So if you're going to go after fiber with Grayson County, what is your plan to replace all the phone lines in the county with fiber?
Well, I would think that any ILEC or the traditional copper would be to at some point retire that technology.
Right.
And that's the federal government's plan, and that's state government's plans. You see hundreds of millions of dollars and billions of dollars coming in to providers, to counties to retire that copper. There's a universal service fund. We all pay it. That's how we got copper lines out here. Was people in the city paid a little extra to run a line up here. That fund is going almost all to broadband now. They're not keeping up with the copper. The federal government is saying it's time to move on. Just like with the TV antennas a few years ago, where everybody had to get a new TV antenna because the frequencies changed. So I can't tell you what our companies, we have to provide the service that's out there. And you see investments, and Todd's told you about investments to maintain that service. But I don't see any company coming in and just redoing copper. It's just,
We will maintain the copper that's there. As far as overbuilding the entire network, we get 6 million customers, something like that. And the plan is in 5 years to have passed 4 million of those households with fiber. The rest of them, with the grants that Chris is talking about, different things like that. Just because copper's in the ground, I know it doesn't deliver the fastest speed, but the maintenance of the copper. You get an old piece of copper and a new piece of copper. I get one that we just got off the truck today. I go out and dig up one. They're both in the same shape. If you read past what's on, it's the same. It's the maintenance you do on your plant out in the field. And that's my job. If it's broke, if it's not working, we come out and repair it. We replace sections. We rehab terminals that birds are somebody shot. We fix those things. And, right now the technology that we have out there, that's what we have. And as we move forward as a company over the next 5 years, you will see us overbuild more and more places. But when you've got areas that you already have a provider there that's taking fiber to the home, are you really going to go down and spend that money? Because you're not going to get the take rate. You're not going to get the customers. You're wasting your money because somebody else has already got it. They're satisfied. So does it make sense to throw money away? They turn right, we turn left.
our plan as a company is to invest $2 billion private dollars in our network to put fiber in our 20 states. That's not including grants. So anytime we can get a grant opportunity and invest with a local government, we jump that opportunity.
We just, locally around here, the closest one we got, the very first one in Virginia, tell you that they're serious about local and rural America. I've got right speed fiber in America. We just don't overbid the town limits in America. Does it work good? Absolutely. It's fast. Got put in my office. I was actually our first customer. Got 1,000 eggs in your office. Are there some challenges with it? It's still residential. Got to have them this week. We put voice over IP. So we do this. We put it in. We put the voice line in. But guess what? The package will bring up.
So right now, what I'm hearing is that the plan for Brightspeed, you're open to partnering with the county on where we see the need for fiber based on what we've got going on right now.
Yes, sir.
But right now, you all are maintaining and improving the legacy system that you bought,
That's
which
right.
is the copper.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And they will not let us do too many of putting the DSL service in. I know some stuff over in David City, Daylights, that area, parts of Grayson County over there, that's on the radar. They've already got plans. And it takes a lot of work going on that. So, every day there's more. But those folks out there at Marion Heights, they're 36,000 feet from this box, from our CO. They're right in the middle. They're 18,000 feet from our CO. They're 18,000 feet from this. They absolutely get nothing. And I know there's folks over here that's the same way, out there at Creek, Forward Rock, out in Wilson Ball and stuff like that.
But Todd, to put it in, to feed off of what Supervisor Anderson said with his issues with the call center, my issue is the only option I have in my house is DSL. All right. And I'm paying for 512K. On a great day, I'm getting maybe 300K. All right. And so that's the only option that a lot of people have. I'm great that Marion Heights is getting super DSL. I don't know where that is. All right. But that's the sort of effort that we need here at Grayson, because we know the challenges associated with fiber. We're well aware of that. But if you're going to maintain a legacy system, I really hope you can get it up there.
Thank you.
One more question. Does cell service work for you?
Nope,
Okay. And the reason I asked, there's some new technology coming.
I'm tracking on the 5G. I get it. And we've got an effort underway to do that too. But the reality of it is that our geography gets a vote.
Yeah, and half the areas I handle is the same thing.
Right. Yeah, I know you know the area. So.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
You're using the term open to partner with the county. What does that mean for the county?
Well, I've sent Mitch some emails and Tom some emails about, we have a consultant that goes in and looks at areas that they think will win grants. So,
We're talking about specifically just BD, right?
well, there's bodies out there.
Sure.
I mean, if you write a letter about the 19th, I'm not sure if you've already done that. But that's only 50 million statewide. I think 5 of that's specifically in legislation geographically located to one member's area. So I just feel like we would have more success with a BEAD grant application here than body, just because of the size and the cost. But if Tom would sit down with us, we've got the information, but you know, we need to know what's going on with Gigabeam and other providers so that we're not mixing grants.
Thank y'all.
Thank y'all so much.
Chris, thanks for coming up.
Thank
Thanks,
y'all.
Todd. Thanks. I'm sure we'll be talking. So.
Yeah, if you need me, holler.
Thank y'all.
Our next presenter is Mr. Keith Andrews with the Clean River update.
I didn't know how that slide presentation.
I think you got it.
Okay, anybody want any? If you do,
I'd like a copy, please.
pass them around. And appreciate the opportunity to get back with you. I think I ran into John a week or two ago and he asked me how to Clean River went this past year. And I think the picture speaks a lot about what we've achieved. And if you take a look at the picture, and it talks about the fact that whether it is large groups, small groups doing in-river cleanups, individuals, kayakers, river bags, liveries, vendors, whatever, all our efforts are making a difference. And at times when I've been involved with it, and you run into somebody from a different county, somebody who's on a fishing trip with a guide and whatever, and they hear what we're doing in Grayson County to try to keep the new clean or get it better. Hats off to everybody who's been a part of that. Hats off to you guys for putting that proclamation out that said we're going to try to keep this going on an ongoing basis. Thanks Shannon for putting a good article together last week or two. So it's law-abiding effort. And I'm not there yet. I'm not. I got a few more seconds on that previous one. Okay. I had to do this. If you look in the far right-hand corner, there's a big kiss. That's the last of the Andrews. He's my, he'll be 30 years old next year. I'll be 75, which tells you we had him late in life. And
Good on you.
when you have an she will not appreciate this, but when your wife is going in thinking she's being tested for menopause and she comes up 3 months pregnant. It's not a funny matter. Y'all know. And when it comes to trying to come up with a name out of surprise, he's the 3rd kid, so he's Trey Andrews. I mean, that was just, anyway. But the fact of it is, he knows what we're involved in, at least Pat and I, and he and his family are down, and he was more than willing to get out there and help us with one of the small groups in their cleanup efforts. Thank goodness he was, because they got us some big tires out of the river that day. Now we can go to the next slide. And I know you can't see this one too clearly, but what this is saying is, on any effort like we have put together, I think it's important that people understand what came together to make this happen and what's been in place to make it happen. And back in, I guess it was in fall of 20, talking with John some, we came up with this thought about, all right, how can we put together an effort? And we came up with a document, and there was a proclamation. And in this proclamation, part of the wording was, in light of all the information I was given, the Board of Supervisors will proclaim the month of August to be Clean River Month in Grayson County. And wanted to keep it on an ongoing basis, even though originally the document said 2021, really is an ongoing basis. And the key parts of that is where we will strive to protect the new in our county as we build the next generation. So our efforts have been twofold. What are we doing for the river today? And how are we getting more people, younger people and such involved in the cleanup efforts and the monitoring efforts and such as that? Because I look in the mirror and some other people here are getting there too, from the standpoint of, 74, 75 is pretty good to get in the river, much less loose tires. That needs more people there. But there were 5 areas that the county said, we're going to help make this happen. And one was working with other organizations, provide development programs, activity, we will increase people's awareness of what the needs are of the new and the offerings and such. And we've done a good job of that. We've had the New River Conservancy make a couple presentations. We've had Department of Environmental Quality do presentations on water quality. We've had that further enhanced by representatives from DWR talking about that. We've put on in-river clinics where we do fish shockings and actually show people who come to different fish. It's also a means of explaining what the data is from those fish shockings as far as can you determine spawn rates and what the population's health is and such as that. So we're trying to educate. So it's not just picking tires up, it's educating on all the other aspects. We also talk about developing an overall communication and involvement campaign to let citizens know. Do we put out a schedule of all the various activities? Yes. We do, hound the media to help cover some of our stuff that we do. And we get cooperation. So that's all good stuff. But we know we can do better. We know that we can use the various technologies out there and media aspects better to keep people informed about what we're trying to do. We want to encourage property owners with river frontage to do some of their own. And we're seeing some of that where, and it's not like you can, we wish we could send out a notification to all the various riverfront owners saying, hey, August is Clean River Month, you clean it up, we'll try to get it, or you can bring it to the various locations and such. And then we also talk about providing promotional logistical support. And yes, I think we do promote it well. And as far as logistical support, and what we've tried to do with the in-river cleanups is that we try to, for organizations that don't have the means, we provide life preservers, which we require. We don't want people in the water. I don't care if it's 2 inches deep, 2 feet deep. We'll have life preservers. Tire hooks, if you've never seen one. It's a good means of pulling it up. And then also, we're starting to get a fleet of various John boats. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate that. And so we loan out this equipment. I also, want to acknowledge some of the efforts that Jason Harris does. Because before we put a group of people in the water, we've done some scouting to see where tires are. And I think Steve can say that we do a pretty good job of scouting. And what we also do is we check on the river conditions. We're not going to put people out there if the water's too high. We're not going to put it out there if it's not clear. So we will take a look at what the flow rates are. We'll take a look at turbidity. I'm one of the water watchers, so I've learned a new term. That means how muddy is it? So turbidity, good term. Because if you can't see them, you can't pick them up out of the water. So we do that, we make sure it's safe. And then also working with DWR, we know that we have 6 access points. So that people know where to take the various findings that they find in the river and deposit them there. So I think a means of measuring progress in this effort is you can take a look at these various items and say, how are we doing year to year? What have we added to it? And kind of rate ourselves. And we may do that in November when we try to pull all the groups together and also welcome the board, giving us some assessment of what you're seeing. So that when we pull the various groups together, we can try to say, all right, how do we improve this going forward? Another way of measuring it is, you can't see it on the maps, but there's some orange areas, and those are the areas where we've actually gone over the last 3 years. 46 miles of river in Grayson County. So we still have some more to go. But it's also important to recognize, again, we're not going to put people in certain sections of the river because it's dangerous. They aren't really suitable for the type of cleanup efforts that we do. So we're trying to be safe again. You'll also note, if you can't see it, there's some areas where we've put like 3. That says that they've been cleaned 3 times in the last 3 years. You may say, well, have you gotten them all? Tires move, they migrate. And even our property right in front of the New River Wildlife Conservation Club, we've had 3 cleanups in the last 3 years. First one took 25, second one took 19 and 16. Tires keep coming. And it's not like we put them in there. So they're there. And they'll continue to be. So we know that this needs to be an ongoing effort. Go to the next slide. So here are the results from 23. We had 5 civic organizations with scheduled cleanups. And part of our model is that we try to schedule a cleanup for each weekend during the month of August, because history has proven to us that some rain is going to occur, and if you have it all scheduled for one weekend, you're probably not going to get it done. So by having it spread throughout the month, it helps us from a logistical standpoint, we can support it, but also it means that you'll probably have success. So even though we had 5 scheduled for this year, we only really had 2 cleanups, in-river cleanups. And what that is then subsidized by is that what we've done as far as promotion with kayakers and something that we call the clean river bags. If you've seen those little red mesh bags at the DWR sites, kayakers and such, they're cleaning up the river. So a lot more of that river gets covered than just where we've had cleanups. Also, 4 governmental agencies supporting it, including the county government, also Freeze Volunteer Fire Department, Galax Fire and Rescue, as well as schools and also DWR. 4 private businesses where they distribute the collection bags and helping with that. 7 boat owners or donors. And then also numerous landowners offering river access. And we've gone to, as opposed to trying to advertise it all, sometimes you just got to get out and meet people. And when they hear what you're trying to do, they will offer you access to the river. Now, they also ask you don't publicize it, because then everybody else will be asking them to have access. So if some of them want privacy, that's fine. Outcomes, over 200 tires were collected during the month. And I'll be the first to tell you that not all of those tires came out of the river, because we are seeing some, what I would say, tires that haven't been in the river. But they do hit at the DWR sites, and yeah, saw some. When I saw a red tire that was painted red and another one yellow, that was deposited at the Wildlife Club, I kind of knew that, all right, that did not come out of the river. Maybe it was out of, I don't know, flower pot stand or whatever. But it's also the analogy, if they didn't bring it to one of the sites, it could have been in the river next year. And we'll also say that, like I live on the Little River, and I know there are 2 tires I'm going to try to get out this year that are on the river bank. So they weren't going to be in the river, but they would be and will be. So we do some of that. 150 cleanup bags at 3 bag stations. That means people are taking the bags, they're putting trash and such in there, depositing at the locations, and helping with that. We had 33 in-river cleanup volunteers. Something that we help co-sponsor from the standpoint of with the New River Conservancy this year was that we sponsored a water watcher. So this is a program from the New River Conservancy, whereas and you're now having monitors that are doing various assessments from turbidity, to E. coli. Heck, I haven't done chemistry since I was in college, so it was kind of fun trying to do that again. And so now you have 6 locations. We had 11 people participated. You now have 6 locations in Grayson County monitoring the quality of the water going into the New River. That's a pretty good ongoing thing as far as that goes. We also had another Fish of the New clinic, in which we did shocking this year. And then we tried to do something that's called Fish the New and Clean it Too, where we're hoping participants will go fishing and they can apply for winning something, so that we do that as far as giving prizes for the largest fish. But it's also saying you got to collect some trash as you go down the river. That one didn't take off as well as we really wanted to do, but it's something that we want to continue to push, such as that. So we're doing a lot of things, and there's a lot of good tangible results. But on the last slide, if you can have that. You can't read the names, but on the sheet you can. You can see the organizations that participated. I go back to what we said on the first slide. Everything about river cleanups and the Clean River Month is centered around people. And hopefully we can continue to grow it, the effort, as well as the results, because we're really getting some acknowledgement on some of the things that we're doing. And again, hats off on the board. And I've said it before, the whole thing about large item pickups in the spring, I think is having an impact on not having as much going through the river. And then what we're doing in August, as far as taking what's out, that's already there. Still working at it. So just an update on what we're trying to do. And again, thank you for your help. Appreciate the support.
Thank you. Well done.
It appears there's, under old business, there's none. Under, new business, resolution for road abandonment, Camp Dickinson. Ms. Black.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Apologize for the way I talk. Hopefully we can get through this. I wanted to begin tonight with just a brief, well, it's not brief, it's long. Bear with me. I'm just going to go back through the history and why we're here again tonight. So I'm coming tonight back to the board for consideration of abandonment of a section of roads of Route 640, Camp Dickinson Lane, a distance of 0.05 miles. As a general reminder to the board and transparency to the general public, I'd like to explain again why we're revisiting this tonight. During the August meeting, I requested to the board to reconsider the request for intent to abandon a portion of Camp Dickinson Lane. The request was due to an invalid and incorrect description and lack of date not placed on the first resolution. Originally, the information that we used for advertising had always been that anyone could request a public hearing for abandonment. However, with the new staffing inside of VDOT, the error was caught and brought to my attention. So during the August meeting, I explained this, and the board unanimously approved a 5-0 vote for staff to be able to re-advertise, and they approved the amendment to the language for that resolution for notice of intent to abandon the section of 0.05 miles of Camp Dickinson Lane. So the planning department re-advertised for 30 days as required by section 33.2 909B of the Code of Virginia, but not before having VDOT vetted the actual advertisement. So additionally, I posted the advertisement on the front doors of the courthouse for the same length of time. The advertisement ran in the Galax Gazette for Friday, September the 8th, and again on September the 22nd. And the official cutoff date to request for public hearing was October the 8th. Up until last Friday, October the 6th, my department had not received questions or comments about the advertisement. However, Friday evening, I received a call from Polly Vaughn. She's the Grayson County Historical Society manager, and she was visited by Mr. Bobby Dixon, who was sending Mr. Dixon to see me. So I met with Mr. Dixon for some time, listening to his concerns regarding the historical nature of the old road and how it would be detrimental for the closure for fear of the historical nature of the old road, the historical nature being lost. This particular section of the road that is proposed for abandonment was used by local residents to get to the Old Town section in Galax in the early 17 and 1800s. He also presented to me an email from Mr. Snow, the former Camp Dickinson director, detailing some general history of the land and the previous ownership. I can read that email if the board would like me to. All right, so additionally, Mr. Dixon and I discussed the code language based on 33.2909C that any abutting landowner may request a public hearing. I shared with him the code section and explained abutting meant that a landowner would need to abut a certain section of the highway proposed to be abandoned before being able to request the public hearing. So, however, I do want to state for the record that the Board of Supervisors can still hold a public hearing even though no request has been made. I also explained to Mr. Dixon, and it's still a requirement of the county that his statements that he presented to me and any others that are received here tonight, that I have to report those to VDOT for review, even if no public hearing is held. So we further discussed adding a plaque to the end of the state maintenance commemorating the importance of the historical facts of this section of Grayson County. And Ms. Polly Vaughn, I believe, has been working with the camp and Mr. Dixon a little bit on that. Don't know the details on that just yet. So Camp Dickinson Director Anthony Gomez has already expressed to the board the safety concerns for the children who use the camp. Its campground occupants due to individuals not abiding by the necessary no trespassing signage. So additionally, the camp, I wanted to also include this, the camp also agreed to meet the necessary VDOT requirements for the new state maintenance for the turnaround by already having it surveyed and deeded. So regarding moving forward with the request, I feel that the request is reasonable based on the current facts. This particular section of the highway should be considered no longer necessary for the use of the secondary state highway system, as the highway is encompassed entirely by the property owned by Camp Dickinson. So therefore, staff recommends tonight that the request to be abandoned, to approve the resolution to abandon tonight would indicate that this governing body is satisfied that no public necessity exists for the continuance of this section of the secondary highway as a public highway, and that the safety and welfare of the public would be best be served by abandoning this section of the highway. Do you have any questions for me?
So if we pass this resolution, then what?
So tonight, if the resolution is passed, then it gets sent to VDOT along with the AM 4.3 and the map and the resolution. And then it is to be considered in their abandonment process, which does take some time, but it would start the process.
Let me see if I can clarify some of this up because I'm having a hard time tracking.
I tried.
So you got some new folks in VDOT. I remember there was some turnover and maybe someone promoted or retired. And the person you were dealing with, I guess, was giving you a different set of information, and the new people updated the information, and so that led to some confusion because I thought we were gonna approve it, then we weren't gonna approve it, then we were back to proving it.
We
Is that-
backtracked because resolution and the advertisement wasn't done properly.
Okay, so a technicality is
Yes, sir.
causes a step. Okay, that's what I meant. Thank you.
All right. Chair, entertain a motion. Okay. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye.
Thank you.
So can you let us know because they ultimately will make that decision, is that?
Right, so what I will do, and when I send all this in, I will formally ask them to send us a letter. And that's what's been not happening, from my understanding in the past. We don't know whether things got done or not, therefore that was the reason we had to backtrack on these. They say they take them off the map, but they don't actually formally go through the process. So with us having a letter in hand, that ensures that we've done our job.
So having said that, is there some of these other roads that we've abandoned and such that we may have to revisit?
All the ones that we've ever dealt with while I've been here were abutting landowners that had discrepancies with it, and the board never moved forward. So we never abandoned any.
Thank you.
Next, smart scale project round 6.
So just updating the board a little bit on smart scale, round 6, it's rolled back around. I met with VDOT September the 25th for a kickoff meeting in Marion for the smart scale round 6 project for proposed locations throughout the Bristol district. V-Trans mapping identifies locations that potentially have injury or fatal crashes within the last 5 years. So we're looking from 2017 to 2021. So with the assistance of Kimley Horn, they identified one intersection in Grayson County that could meet the requirements, and that was Route 89 and Mount Bell, which is Route 618 at the intersection improvements. There were 5 crashes at this intersection, all of which were injury related from 2017 and 21. 4 were rear end crashes, and 1 was an angle crash. And then 2 were noted as speed related. The planned improvements are to add a stop bar at the east approach, construct a southbound right turn lane, and adjust a west approach by grading, making it slightly wider to accommodate the new right-hand turn lane. I included the engineer's report in your board packet for review, and I'm here tonight to ask the board if you would consider this area for smart scale round 6 funding. Additionally, I was requested by VDOT to let them know by tomorrow, Friday, October the 13th, if the county wanted to move forward with the application process. All that is required on behalf of the county is a resolution of support, and eventually we will add language in the transportation portion of the comprehensive plan. Are there any questions for staff?
Very good.
Looking for a motion to adopt the resolution or just draft resolution.
I will come back with that, but I just wanted to make sure that you guys wanted me to proceed with the application process So work will begin. I will be back later with that resolution, if that is approved on, if you agree.
You don't need to qualify that in the motion, so.
I think we should.
Motion is to draft a resolution.
To start the process with VDOT to begin application for smart scale round 6.
I would like to make a motion based off of her recommendation.
Second. Any further discussion? That is a very dangerous location, especially when it's foggy.
There's already been 2 other accidents recently.
All right, no further discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Uh,
Any opposed? Chair also aye.
Thank you.
Nice, of course. On the 89 part of it, I know the intersection's bad. But was there ever anything come back to VDOT about putting reflectors on Route 89?
I asked that, and they are working on that, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe that will happen.
Okay.
It's going to be the reflectors like in the middle of the big metal planes that come out and hit people's cars. Flapping their tires and all, so it's going to be something reflective that they're considering.
Besides those metal.
Yeah, it won't be those metal. That's only
These metal things lead to tires ending up in the river. We'll pay the rent.
Thank you, appreciate that.
It's all cycle.
On my way to a board meeting one night, I ended up going through the rim in my truck. So,
That's me through that one. That was
Probably. Okay, so we've already taken care of both the amendments to the ordinance. And so which brings us to board appointments.
So, sir, Don Dunley no longer wishes to serve the plan commission, and a new appointee will fill the remainder of the term, which expires 12/31/26. I think you have an application from someone.
Yes, sir. I have an application from Mr. Justin Funk, who's a lifelong resident of the county, who has taken over Mr. Dudley's surveying business, so he's a businessman. And with a young family with vested interest, and I think he'd be an excellent candidate for the planning commission to represent the Providence district.
Chair, I make a motion to approve Justin Funk for planning commission.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair also aye. County Administrator's report.
Okay, real quick, the Fall Foliage Festival starts this Saturday at 10 o'clock. Hopefully the weather will hold off on us. Looks like we got some rain coming in. There's a Christmas tree farm tour tomorrow from 1 to 5. This was planned last week before. For some reason I can't remember. But anyway, we're going to do the tour. Our local Christmas tree farmers for that business. It's tomorrow 1 to 5. At the Molasses Festival up in White Top, this last Sunday. It's a lot of us got to go up there and prepare some molasses, butter, and it's all to support the volunteers this weekend. There's so many volunteers this weekend. Wherever we do school, there's some stuff. They're out there trying to make money. Elk Creek Volunteer Rescue Fire and Rescue Squad, 1021, a shooting match. Chicken barbecue. That's right.
It's a fire department, is that what you said?
Fire department. I think that's it. That's all I got you.
Next items are informational items to the board. Next will be our registered speakers and public comment. And prior to that, we're going to take about a 5-minute break to try to get started back about 7. All right. I wrote that side by side in front of You can't hear me. What's that? Oh, that's good. The audio.
I'm not marvelous.
You got it wrong. Come on, Mike.
Yeah, I got some.
I rode side by side on my back last year, had this progression practice. I wasn't, I was spraying the riders. I wasn't even. Well, yeah, I'm too steep in place. I ran it home. And you still ride it down. So much I jumped there. Yeah. Across my back. I don't know how they got this.
Each mic will last like 4 hours. Straight. Right underneath that mic. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. That was part of the other.
Yeah, make sure they don't see.
So everything going well with that.
Oh, yeah. I knew that.
Maybe looking at sort of where the deposit areas are.
That's everybody. Had to pull the knife out.
You didn't have to get up on my count.
Oh, that's all right. They don't mind us going. We're not.
Yeah, I know.
Keep on keeping up.
Of course. Might not well.
That's
right.
All we can do.
That's exactly right.
Good. I really like it. I've got a 650 feeder. My uncle's got one of 8 inches. RGB.
Yeah, it used to be mine.
I've already separated the place.
Yeah, now mine's got, it don't do as good as those. Yes, yeah, one of my buddies. The only thing I like about it is the was, but if you're not on the road, you're down. But I'm on the road. I put 30 miles a day. I got 62. It was still going somewhere. I would all. Yeah.
Thank you. Like an app.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to send out.
You've got it.
Yeah, yeah. I emailed it to you.
What's the 5 years for missionary?
No, Ashley, no, she doesn't have a job. And she gets so consistent. And it's not like got to drive a shower. And it's like, they're like, oh, hey, go. Well, I love coming over, but she's just adamant about she we haven't been in a while, but she's.
They tell you what she said.
Well, no.
She was upset.
Okay, I'm gonna tell you, she is the it's not be great, really. Oh, I've got the latest. I've got, how many do you want? How many do you reckon? Well, okay, fine. I'm gonna keep files or something. Which is, there's 10 you need here. Yeah. Yes, thank you. And I emailed one to Jane. I emailed one of her. So she's got, they've got really good. But go like things, you know,
Sorry about that.
Okay. Anyway. Okay, go ahead and call our meeting back to order. And as I stated prior to the break, this will be our registered speakers and public comment period of our agenda. And it's just, I failed to go over, I guess I was kind of hurry there at the beginning or something, I failed to go over the decorum, but I would ask that each speaker be mindful of the 3-minute time period, and also that everyone be respectful of each one's time to speak with no outburst or anything, and it's generally not a problem. Got good folks here in Grayson County. But anyway, our first speaker is Jeannie Hatch. And if you will, each one as you come forward, give your name and your address.
Okay, I'm Jeannie Hatch and I live in Elk Creek at 23 Sweetwater Lane. Somebody was teasing me because there's an asterisk. That means I was a troublemaker. So I don't make trouble. I have some handouts about smart scale. Do you guys anybody need to look at that? Because there's different levels of smart scale.
Okay.
You'll take it. Anyone else?
I'll take it.
Yeah, there's different projects, and the one that I'm requesting is for a rural area, which would be the matching revenue. And which means that the, whatever I'm requesting, then the county will have to match that. Usually I give them all away, and then when I speak, I don't have anything. Mitch and I had a meeting with Andy Fowler back last November about this, and then I had a very lengthy conversation with James Swartz. And both of these gentlemen have suggested that I ask the board to apply for smart scale for that bad intersection in the road that's 10 feet from my house. As you recall, in May of 22, the board voted to abandon that section of road, but there was some opposition, so that was rescinded. So that my next option is the smart scale. I know it's very competitive, and I know the state, I know that the county will have to match some of those funds. James has committed to come out next week with a new engineer. I believe his name is Mark Williams. And they're going to come out and reassess everything. But in the meantime, he asked that possibly the board could apply for the smart scale because it's only gotten worse. I mean, it's gotten so bad that I've had to make 2 police reports for people stopping at my house and cursing me. And it's just, once word got out that the board was going to abandon that section of road, man, it was just like lighting a match to a can of gasoline. You know, people just, it just amped up the anger and the animosity that's directed at me. And, you know, Mr. Anderson had said at that meeting, that the board would do everything they could to help me with this issue. Mr. Swartz also suggested that in the meantime that I ask the board to reassess the speed limit, because right now it's 35. And so you've got 35, which is 45, going by my house, and people are whipping in and out in front of my house, and the end of my sidewalk is only 22 feet from that stop sign. And so just today alone, I was pitching firewood off my truck. Within that short period, 7 cars came down Sweetwater, and only 1 car stopped for the stop sign. 1 out of 7 cars. So it's continuing to just get worse and worse and worse. So,
Ms. Ash, what is it? What do you envision for smart scale? What's
well,
your-
what I envision, and I talked to Mr. Ivy about it just briefly. He asked me if I would consider, instead of, and I do have a map of the original road. Instead of going to the extent, I mean, because it's a pretty long road. In trees. You're going through the forest, even though the roadbed is somewhat still visible. Mr. Ivy suggested that maybe the road could just be moved behind my shed. You know, just come in behind my shed. And that way, most of it, maybe all of it would stay on my property. So. Is it something you need to table for tonight? And
I don't know if that was good advice, but I do remember.
you did say that.
I
You
did.
did say that.
And unfortunately, we've done all that we can do until you keep pushing. And if this is something that the county can do to help move this thing forward, what's been presented to us up until this point, we've done all we can do as a board. When it comes to the speed limit, it's my understanding that VDOT has to do a speed limit test before we might have to request it.
You do request it.
If we request a speed study, is there an outright cost to the county?
I do know that the board has to request it.
Do that pending,
I don't have an issue making a motion, Mr. Chair, to have the speed limit study looked into by staff. So if that needs to come with a motion, I'll make that motion.
I'll second it. Any discussion?
Been going over smart scale, it's just like the Camp Dickerson thing. Is it still not that, but the joining landowners do like they did last time in Sino? Is that not smart scale too?
I don't know, but I guess my wondering is, this is kind of new for a rural sort of thing that we're talking about. And so I think the other follow-up for staff would be not only to request the speed assessment, but also to look at what is the rural smart, is her issue, does it meet the smart scale assessment? And then if so, then, make a decision to go forward on that.
The traditional road abandonment doesn't work in this particular case,
Right.
but is there anything else that can be done? I think it's where we are. If it needs to start with a speed study, then that seems like a pretty logical step forward.
Right.
Well, this came from a recommendation of Andy Fowler and then followed up with James Swartz. And I don't think these two individuals would not have asked me to come to the board tonight and ask you this if they did not think it was legitimate.
Well, I hope this is what you need to get out of the meeting. We have to request it. I've got that motion.
And Mr. Chair, I don't think our line of questioning is not doubting what VDOT said. It's just, it's new to us. This approach using smart scale is not something that at least on the time I've been on the board, that we've dealt with. We've used smart scale for other projects, but they've generally been on major avenues of approach throughout the county. In this case, we're talking about a secondary road, and I'm not familiar with that process. The process may be very similar, but that's the piece that we need to understand. But I concur that that's a motion that's on the floor, that we can start the process with a speed study.
Well, it says, I mean, that's what the board does. They submit an application for this. And this is specifically for county, city, or town.
I'm not questioning any of that.
Mhm.
It's just, we need to understand it from a staff standpoint, because we haven't, in my experience, have not done one for a secondary road like this. That's all.
Do you have anything to add to that, Mitch? Because you were at that meeting with Andy Fowler.
No, we'll just have to do, like the board said, do a speed study and then, make sure that this secondary road, Sweetwater Road will fit into a smart scale project, because like the board has said, this is the first one I know of a secondary road like this being a smart scale project. Doesn't mean it couldn't be, but we'll just have to do our due diligence and homework and see where everything fits.
Well, James did state today on the phone that, that where I live, because Paul Coyle has always said, he's already said it's a dangerous for rescue and fire vehicles to go up that road. And so he said it was a dangerous situation, and that is one of the criteria for smart scale.
How many other landowners are on that road?
There's several landowners, but I'm the only full-time resident on Sweetwater Road. See, that's one of the issues. I sent an email out, and that is one of my issues, is that there's 2 full-time residents up there with out-of-state plates. And we're talking about 10+ years. And they're one of the men who spoke at the meeting opposing it. He's the first one to pick up the phone and complain.
You said that there's no other full-time, you're the only full-time resident, but then now you just said there's 2 other.
Well, I mean legally, they keep their vehicles registered in other states so they don't have to pay personal property taxes or get their cars inspected.
But they live there.
They live there, but they claim residence somewhere else. So they're cheating their home state and they're cheating the state of Virginia, Grayson. And Sheriff Bond, he's aware of this. He's very much aware of this. So should I just come back next month, or?
We've done all that you've asked us to do, which is to request the speed study. The smart scale, there is no way we can apply for anything until there is an engineered drawings. The smart scale that we looked at tonight is 12 pages long. It's been going on for a couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing we can do tonight, Jeannie, is request a speed study.
Mm-hmm.
But we cannot solve your problem tonight.
I know that.
But you've asked us to do a speed study. The motion and the second is on the table. I think we're all in support of trying to help you solve your problem.
Thank you. I know you are.
We can't apply for a smart scale application with just your word. We have to start going down the process and get all of the paperwork that we need.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, ma'am.
All
Any
right.
further discussion? If not, we have a motion before the board with a second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Chair also aye.
Thank you.
Next, we'll go to our public comment. Sign up sheet. Sign up right there. Okay. Jason.
I'm Jason June, 110 Mountain Avenue, Galaxy, Virginia. Just want to come up here and speak a few things. I'm not going to do my prepared statement. As far as the bright speed and the stuff going on with that, one thing y'all might want to look at is the FCC enforcement. I'm sure they're trying to make metrics on
that's why, probably why they're spitting out the repair numbers. The FCC has given a tremendous amount of money along with all this COVID funds into enforcement of these communication industries. So I'm sure they're trying to hit these metrics because they're tied in with the 911 service. Everybody that has a communication line pays a certain fee to have 911, even if you don't have a phone line. I also want the quick, as far as what we're going through, just want to make you aware of the recent events with Missouri versus Biden. Facebook has been told, and along with all the other social media companies, there's no longer censorship. So if anybody is experiencing any censorship online, it's due to the actual companies. It's not due to the administration currently, because the Fifth Circuit Court has put an injunction to stop all of the censorship going on. Just want to put that on record. And then thank you for passing the EMS. I don't know if many of everybody's aware, I'm a paramedic. Paramedic for quite a long time. Yeah, the state of the EMS is so bad, I wouldn't even consider working in Grayson County with my license. I tried in Lake County. It was even worse. And I saw exactly what a county would do when an EMS captain was stealing drugs and substituting for years. And they didn't tell the people. Not one word was over there. Our EMS and police need help. I'm listening to the radio almost every night, and they're working overtime, and they need help. We got officers on the street delivering days. Freeze and Elk Creek aren't answering their calls on EMS at night. Freeze has gotten real bad. Elk Creek's got some day coverage during the day. That's it. And then last minute, we got increased workloads coming in from all the rehabs and Galax, and Carroll's opened up on one. And it affected one of our Grayson County residents. Gentleman carjacked a vehicle and was released from the rehab and the hospital. He carjacked a vehicle at Seats, came into Grayson County with her dog, wrecked the vehicle. Found out her dog has passed away. Had to put it to sleep. She's got a wrecked vehicle. She's on government, and she gets nothing for her residents. So just wanted to also bring that to y'all's attention that that rehab, all the problems that it's bringing in, and there's a lot of people dying up there, and it's not getting counted as Grace and Galax because they're all from out of town. And as a paramedic that was responding into that facility, stuff really needs to get, somebody needs to go in there and clean that place up.
Next, Mr. Matt Linkus.
Thank y'all for giving me a minute. I have pastored in Grayson County for almost 31 years now at Turkey Knob Church, and I speak on the behalf of over 200 members. If everybody shows up on Sunday, you know how that goes. But it is what it is. But anyway, on any given Sunday, it's 100, 150. And I speak on behalf of them and myself on this ordinance for the sanctuary for the unborn. You guys set in a position right now to make a decision, and I know there's threats. I know there's people saying they're going to sue or whatever. My daddy always told me, you do what's right. And I respect the decision some of you's already outright made, that you're going to go for it, you're going to push for it and vote for it. And the thing of it is, when we say the Pledge of Allegiance, it says, with liberty and justice for all. Those babies need justice. They're not getting it most places. And as a pastor of 30-some years, I'd like to see Grayson County do what's right. Do what's right for those babies, because I got a little grandson, 4 years old, and I'd hate the thought that his life was taken over these kind of things. It would be such a blessing for our county, Grayson County, and I think it would turn the blessings of God in our county, because God knows we need it. All the jobs have left. For you men to be bold enough, you're all pretty good-sized fellas, and I hope you have a backbone to make the right decision. You need to have a backbone for your county, because they put you where you're at, and that's no disrespect. They put you in your position. I have a business, and I run customers all the way from the top of the mountain in every corner of Grayson County, and everybody I talk to is pro-life. There are very few that's for this not happening. So I hope that y'all listen to the community and the county and do what's right and pray about this thing and do what's right for these kids. On behalf of Turkey Knob Church, thank you.
Next is Tracy Cummins.
Thank you very much.
So, Tracy Cummins, 743 Powder Mill Road. I have something to ask you guys. Would y'all be willing to help me with something? So I want to tell you all a story that I was given permission to share. These have been donated to us by Mountain View Baptist Church to the Pregnancy Resource Center to use as a teaching tool, and I do want to do that. But I want to tell you this story. The people that have come to me and asked me for help with post-abortive care, this is one of the stories. A mother became pregnant but sadly miscarried her 7-week gestational age baby in December. And Supervisor Anderson, that's the one you're holding, okay? In March, she realized she was pregnant again and was told by the doctor to have an abortion because her uterus was not healed from the miscarriage. Her husband and her family pressured her to go through with it, so she did. Prior to 2012, it was not required in Virginia to have an ultrasound before an abortion, but this was prior to 2012. So without an ultrasound, the doctor performed a first trimester dilation and curation where the cervix is medically dilated without anesthesia. He inserted a suction catheter 20 times stronger than your household vacuum cleaner and attempted to suck the baby from her womb. Normally, the abortionist would then scrape the uterus to clear away any remaining parts of the baby that can cause complications like infection and uterine damage. However, the doctor could not complete this procedure as he realized the mother was likely in the second trimester of pregnancy, meaning the baby was too large to be removed by DNC. He decided that this baby was a twin of the one that had miscarried originally. Couldn't perform the DNC, so told her to go home, come back tomorrow. So she woke up the next day to a snowstorm and couldn't go anywhere. And after suffering for a couple of days and finally running 108 fever, her husband got her to the ER where the doctor decided that he needed to perform a dilation and evacuation of the now lifeless body from his mother's infected womb. The father was asked to sign an autopsy release for his wife because she was not expected to live and encouraged him to file a medical malpractice suit against the doctor. The mother stayed in the hospital for 5 days, given Thorazine in attempts to wipe her memory of this whole event, and her nearly dying, was given 8 different antibiotics to stop the infection caused by the abortionist, the legal abortionist. And she was warned of complications from lacerations, perforations, damage to her bladder and bowels and other organs, and probably would be infertile for the rest of her life. Now, luckily, this doctor has been put out of business, but now we see this type of story happening with the mifepristone, the RU486 drug that is prescribed to women up to 9 weeks of gestation. And they're experiencing some of these same problems. They're not being under the care of a doctor. They're given this prescription and said, "Oh, go home and you'll have labor and delivery, basically deliver your own child that is the size of what Anderson is holding." And then have to bring those remains back to the doctor to have him look at them and declare that they're all there and counted for so that the mother would not have to then go through a further procedure of a DNC. So it just gets worse and worse, it seems to me. But now in Virginia, it is still legal to abort in a clinical setting the 2 babies that you are holding. Supervisor Hash and on up, you all are holding second trimester babies. And it is legal in Virginia to abort them in a hospital setting. So I just wanted you to be aware of that as you hold these children in your hands. The mother who shared this story with me gave me permission to name these children after her children. And I'm honored to do that, to give them a voice, because they were created for this purpose just right now like this. Supervisor Anderson, you're holding Mary. Supervisor Hash, you're holding Stephen. Thank you for letting me give them a voice to be heard. They need to be heard. I have letters to churches. If you need anything, let me know. Call me. 276-768-8744. I want to help people choose life. I want to use these as a teaching tool for whatever your church, your secular group. I don't care. Let me know how I can help you. Obviously, I'm for this ordinance, and until it is voted, I'm anxious to see the new zoning ordinances that we see to get abortions clinics, make sure they're not coming into Grayson County. So thank you guys, and pray for the peace of Israel.
With all due respect, you can let her talk about it. You don't need to be so snotty about it. Nobody says nothing to you when you're talking.
Laura, George?
My goodness. Not only did I not speak while she was talking, she ran over, and I simply said after she was done, I seem to be the only one cut off. Gentlemen, I'm Laura George. I've been a resident here for over a decade. I'm an interfaith minister, and I was gonna pass because this wasn't on the agenda for tonight, and I understand that probably everyone needs a break from the tension over the ordinance. I want to agree with one of the things that Tracy just said, which is that under Virginia law, women have the right to bodily autonomy during the first trimester of their pregnancy. And that's really what this entire matter is about. This county does not have the legal right to contravene or in any way attempt to vitiate state law, nor does the county have the ability legally to try to enforce federal law and put that obligation on our sheriffs. Our own county attorney has made it so clear to everyone who has ears to hear that this ordinance will be voided, and it will be voided by a court after a lawsuit, after the people in this room and the other residents of this county pay taxpayer dollars to go through what is an obvious conclusion. This ordinance will be voided. So again, I'm going to encourage you all to do your job, which is not to waste taxpayer money, and which is to let at the state level legislators deal with this issue. It is not a county issue. Thank you.
Okay, next registered speaker is Nancy Lieber.
Nancy Lieber at Riverside Drive, Freeze. I'm feeling a little bit like that guy in Groundhog Day who lives the same day over and over again. So what I'm going to say is a repetition of what I've said before. Laws against abortion don't work. I don't question the sincerity of people who wish to provide women with an alternative. I'm 77 years old. I remember what it was like. I was an adult pre-Roe. In addition, the country of Brazil not only bans abortion currently, women can be thrown in prison for having illegal abortions. There are 111 million women in Brazil. 1 in 7 has had an abortion despite the laws against it. That's 1.5 million women. So what do people of good intention do? As I have previously said, there are things you can do, such as child care, health care, parental leave. Currently, the state of Delaware is experimenting with a program where they give every pregnant woman $1,000. This goes a long way towards helping people make the decision to not terminate a pregnancy. For every dollar that the state spends, they're getting $3 back. We can do that in Virginia. We have a huge revenue surplus. Why can't we have a program like that, a pilot program in Grayson County? We have a Republican governor, perhaps Republican members of our board can look at instituting a program like that. There are things that can be done without violating someone else's principles, religion, whatever. So, thank you.
That appears to be all of our registered speakers. We do not have a closed session scheduled, and no one has asked me for a board of supervisors time. So at this point, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So much. Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair also.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.